Hello, friends. This is Raj Sastry from Raj Option Trading. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite stocks. It's the EHang Holdings. It's in the aerospace and defense industry. So it's a Chinese stock. They're into flying cars and flying vehicles. It's a very, very fast and emerging trend. And they are world leader right now, and they are one of the early public companies in this area. They are actually trying to make sure flying through these smaller autonomous vehicles is much, much cheaper than using a car. Think about New York City as an example. It's very difficult to go from point A to point B. And if you have to go, you have to take multiple detours, there'll be traffic issues and whatnot. With this technology, which is vehicle flying cars or a flying vehicle, you can really go from point A to point B in a straight line versus waiting in the traffic. And they have conducted multiple flights to test their technology out, and they're improving their reliability, safety consistently, and they're also making it more and more efficient as we go forward. The applications of this technology is various. It can be urban mobility in places like New York, San Francisco, Paris, and Shanghai. And it can be smart city management. If you want to manage the smart city, you can really fly some of these aerial drones and monitor the situation. And it could be aerial media. If you want to look at the weather and traffic situations, you can use these technologies to really see what's going on. And applications will go on and on. It could be medical technology where you want to send an ambulance, or it could be firefighting, and there are a lot of applications, still emerging area. I would really like you to take a look at this emerging trend. So with that, let's go into a quick snapshot of this company. So it's a world leader in the autonomous aerial vehicle. Think about flying cars or flying vehicle, robo taxis as an example. Instead of going in the ground, it will basically fly, over the top. And they want to make sure it has to be safe, autonomous, eco-friendly. And they're also looking at various technologies to make sure carbon emissions are very less. For example, battery technologies. And they can we can also use this in transportation, logistics, city management, like we talked about. So with that, let's look at a quick chart of this company, EHang Technologies. They just went public back in December 12, 2019, just over a year. The stock has done very well, as you can see here, around say $10 or so, or $10 to $15, all the way to $76 right now. Tremendous growth, as you can see here. They had some bump, somewhere around March, April timeframe with the COVID, but they bounced back pretty hard. So with that, what's trending, in this company from a news perspective? They've got partnership with the medical air, mobility participation in EU, European Union. So it's a very good, partnership, and they can use their flagship two-seater passenger vehicle here. It's really for urban environment, for medical supplies. And they also got a $40 million investment from Car Mignac. And they had initial IPO, back in December 12 for 40 million, and they also had a venture funding Series B for 42 million. Just a quick snapshot. They started with the seed money, and now they are all the way to couple $1 billion market cap. And couple key customers and partners. They got Hangquin new area in China. They're trying to demonstrate their capabilities over there around this aerial vehicle. And they also got some long-term trial permit in Australia, and they got also a partnership with Concept Solutions for aerial media solutions in Paris. There are several of these partnerships that are happening, especially because there are more and more buildings, traffic, and whatnot, especially in the urban area. This concept goes very well. And they've got some key competitors, as you can see here. Sci-Fi Works, 3D Robotics, Precision Hawk, Aurora Flight, and I think Aereo Environment is a public company, ticker symbol AV. So these are some of these things you have to watch out for. From a performance perspective, in the last week they were up 15%. In the last month, 222%. Quarter 820%. You can see, it's really doing very very well from a stock appreciation perspective. So with that, let's also think through. We looked at all the pros for this company. What's going well, what's not going well, or what we need some improvements. This is where all the cities, and geographies and countries, there are some regulatory hurdles this company has to work through. It has to prove this technology is really safe and efficient. So that's where they're spending their time to really make sure for the partnerships with the various economies like European Union, North America, and Australia and China, of course. So with that, let's go into numbers, fundamentals, and how fundamentals are trending. From a market cap perspective, clearly, it started with the 588 million dollars during the initial IPO. As you can see, it's been consistently going up. Now it's $4 billion. Almost it's 8 times more than what they came up with the initial public offering. Revenue perspective, I would say it's a growing pretty well from a 2 million all the way to 5, and now it's $10 million. And they've been surprising Wall Street, when it comes to earnings. They just had 3 earnings announcements, and they've done very well. They surprised from a revenue perspective, and they also surprised from an EPS perspective. And revenue growth, which is one of the key thing I look for in these companies, it's consistently going very well. 80%, 62%. In the recent quarter, the revenue growth is 104%, which is very good. From an EPS surprise, it's consistently surprising either 2 cents or 1 cent. There is also because these are Chinese companies, news is always not very efficient. So in the latest, there is some places you can see there is a $1 miss or a $2 2 cents miss. In some places you see 1 cent beat. So I went with the 1 cent beat. From a gross margin perspective, they are consistently, being around 57 to 59%, which is very good. They're always looking for efficiency here. And from a net margin perspective, this company is still losing money. They are not in a profit mode yet. This is very much expected in a newer company because they are doing lot of R&D. They have to work with the regulators, and it's expected for these companies to lose money. So that's why you can see their really net margin itself is low. From a free cash flow perspective, they're still free cash flow negative. So this is very typical of a growing company and a newer industry. From a cash on hand, around 36 million. I think they can live through these difficult times. They got cash, and they're also working with the multiple of these funding companies. Like we talked about earlier, they got a $40 million funding from a company just a while ago. And some of the key takeaway from earnings in September, which is a Q3 earnings. They announced this back in December. So net loss was about $0.2 million, and they narrowed the net loss, which is good. And sales of this, this vehicle, it reached 23 units, which is better than 18 units previously. And they launched intelligent aerial firefighting, which is a very good application. This can really help the firefighters. And they also unveiled this heavy lift aerial logistics. It can help with the logistics, smart, quick package delivery and whatnot. And they also got permit in North America, in Canada. So it's a good thing. They're working with all the major continents to really make sure they get the permit. And they also joined international project to develop air ambulance, which is a very good applications in the medical community. So these are the technical snapshot. What do I feel from a technical, a fundamental snapshot? From a fundamental perspective, I feel confident this company clearly grabbing the market share over the period of time, clearly, revenue surprise, and improving the year-over-year revenue growth, and they're trying to be more and more efficient, and gross margin is very good. Net margin, they're working on it, it's reducing, as you can see. So overall, from a fundamental perspective, I feel good about this company. Now let's jump into technical, few technical analysis. So this is a snapshot from thinkorswim platform. So the stock itself, as you can see here, from all the way around, say, $10 or $12, it went up to $99, almost hit $100, and now they're back into around $76 or so. So from a moving average perspective, they're clearly just below 10-day moving average, and they're above 20-day moving average, and they're also above, I think this is 50-day moving average. So they're doing very well from a technical perspective. I would, if you can see here, there is a heavy volume around $66 or so. I would watch out for this level. Right now, stock is at $76. I would watch out if they come around $66 or $65, or even $67. That could be a good entry point for this stock. um, and there's a these heavy volumes, they will act as a support level, as you might be knowing already. And they got earnings coming up in March, which is the next month. So I would watch out around the earnings, especially because stock has gone up so much in last quarter. So I would watch out for these earnings. If you want to buy something a little bit right now because it's fallen down, I would initiate a small position here, maybe one fourth of your position. If you want to buy 100, you can buy 25 here, and then wait for this earnings announcement. That could be a good time to really add on to your position. And from a relative strength perspective, as you can see here, they became overbought, meaning it's really little more strong. So they clearly bounced back. Right now, they're still overbought. I would kind of wait a little bit for this to pull back, maybe around, say, 60 level or so. So that way we feel confident, it will be going up. From an implied volatility perspective, clearly, this stock is pretty new. They don't have any options yet. So implied volatility is going up, meaning market is really anticipating volatility in this stock. And especially because earnings is coming up sometimes, next month they're announcing earnings. From a DMI perspective, clearly the blue line is above the red line, meaning they are in a positive territory. And one thing to watch out here is really the red line, which is indicating the weakness in the stock. It's trying to go up a little bit, and the blue line, which is the positive strength line, it's trying to go down a little bit. I would watch out this little bit, because if the red line crosses the blue line, that means it'll go into a little bit negative mode. So at this point, it's indicating the bulls are not so confident. Bears are trying to take the stock down a little bit. So I would watch out a little bit, especially because it broke the 10-day moving average line. From a money flow perspective, chocolate money flow perspective, money is really flowing into this. Now it's a little bit flat, I would say. So it's a strong moving stock. So that's why I feel it's okay to initiate an initial position. Maybe 25% of your total position you can initiate now, and then wait for announcement. And From a ATR is again, it's measuring the volatility. It's showing volatility is going up, especially with the earnings. So key takeaway from this is really you can initiate some position here. Clearly, stock is doing very well, had a pullback below 10-day moving average, and then wait for the earnings coming in March timeframe. So that's the key takeaway. But from a fundamental perspective, I feel very good, and there are a lot of applications for this. Bring on, flying cars and flying vehicles. Thank you very much. Happy investing.